Hello and welcome to Real Menopause Talk. My guest today is Lucy Goff. Lucy isn't concerned about the menopause because she has a way through. She created Lima and redefined the supplement industry. Using 9 peer-reviewed, scientifically proven and patented ingredients, Lima helps you feel your absolute best, even when life throws you curveballs and perimenopause. We met up so I could find out more. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good, very well, thank you. It's been quite a week of children, 1 broken foot, 1 COVID and all that kind of thing.
The situation in my daughter's class is she's one of the only people now that hasn't had it. And it's like, they all sit in this room. And what's the miracle is that one child will get it and none of the others will.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, family, and where you work?
So my name's Lucy Goff. I'm the founder of a wellness company called Lima. I live in London with my husband and my daughter and the annoying dog.
Snap to the dog.
Yeah. Where's Graham Hall when you need him?
Yes, exactly. How did Lima come about?
Well, Lima, I never set out to launch my own business. I was very happy working in my job. I was a journalist. I was then working in PR. And it was only really after I had my daughter and I was really ill, I caught septicemia. I had preeclampsia and then I caught septicemia. And they couldn't find the bug that was causing it. So I was in hospital for weeks while they, it was kind of touch and go at one point. So it's a bit scary. And, luckily they found the bacteria. I was on antibiotics and so I got better. But, I left hospital just feeling completely drained and I just could not function. I was going to all these top physicians and just saying, I just can't function. I've got no energy. My brain won't function. And they said, well, the infection's gone, so you've just got to give it time. So their benchmark of me feeling well was the fact that I didn't have an infection, but they couldn't do anything there was no kind of magic tonic that, that they could give me that would give me the energy to just carry on. And I was taking so many supplements. I mean, I couldn't have taken it. I was eating a healthy diet. I couldn't have done any more. And I was in Geneva on a wellness retreat with my mum and happened to bump into one of the world's leading physicians in preventative degenerative disease, a guy called Dr. Paul Clayton, who was there on a conference. And I was speaking to him. I was telling my story. And, I was quite blasé. And he went, don't worry, I'll send you something in the post. You'll feel better in no time. And the level of hope and elation I felt at that point, somebody had said, I know what you need and I'm going to send it to you. It was like the best present ever. And I got home and I didn't hear back from him. I was thinking, oh no, it's never going to get back to me. And then a few weeks later, I got a package through the post and I was to take 16 tablets daily. I knew he'd written hundreds of academic papers. I knew I could trust him. And I took these tablets and literally within a month, I was back at work. I just felt myself again. And that was really the premise, the catalyst for Lima, because I knew that so many other people like me were struggling and that were just not being addressed by the pharmaceutical world or the supplement world. And these ingredients were not available to consumers at the time. When you go to a factory and you formulate a supplement, you can choose from hundreds of ingredients. I mean, the menu is very extensive, but it's got to be the organic or the generic version that they've bulk brought in from China. And you don't really know anything about those ingredients other than the fact, it contains a berry or turmeric or, whatever it says it is. You don't know anything about that particular brand of ingredient because it's not been tested. It's been tested for what it is, but it's not been tested for performance or anything. Whereas the ingredients that we use in Lima is the hidden category of supplementation. It's the medical grade supplementation that factories don't work with because it's not commercially viable for them, because these ingredients are so much more expensive to work with than organic or generic ingredients. I mean, they're hundreds times more expensive. So it's not commercially viable because then the end product doesn't fit into what people are generally used to paying for a supplement. So instead of paying £20, you have to pay £150. Lima is a very different supplement to the rest of the supplement industry. And sometimes, it's kind of quite frustrating that we are a supplement because so many people associate supplements with the fact that, well, they don't really do much. But Lima is different. Over 90% of the supplement market is proven not to do anything. But, the medical grade patented validated ingredients that we use in Lima have gone through the same rigorous process that a pharmaceutical drug would have gone through. So you don't have to hope it's going to work. You know it's going to work. That's really the difference between Lima and everything else that's out there.
When I came to Lima, I was taking a bunch of supplements, including the standard vitamin D3 with K2, some ashwagandha, turmeric, keratin. My hairdresser will be very pleased. And a whole load of other things. So when I came to Lima, it not only has superior ingredients that are effective, it's also very convenient. Its list of ingredients are incredibly impressive.
All of them are patented.
All of
yes.
them. Are there any that stand out for peri to postmenopausal women?
Well, they all stand out for peri and menopausal women. It's actually quite interesting because if you formulate a supplement correctly, you don't need one formula if you're menopausal, one formula if you're in your early 20s, another if you're a man, another if you're a woman. We've all got the same bodies and we all function the same regardless of gender or age. Your body doesn't start to all of a sudden function vastly differently during the menopause. It's just that it's a time of physical and mental stress. But that physical and mental stress could be applied at any age. So the way that Lima has been formulated is fundamentally, it is a powerful anti-inflammatory. And obviously inflammation rockets during the menopause and the perimenopause, because your body is under so much stress. So if you address inflammation, you address sleep, you address cognitive function, and you address energy, then those are the main symptoms that you're really going to experience during the menopause. If you can take HRT, which obviously is the element that helps to balance out your hormones. But the problem is HRT is not the full extent of the solution throughout the menopause. It's a big contributing factor to helping women navigate through that period. So if I was to pick any standout ingredient, like true standout ingredients in Lima to help you through the menopause, I guess it would be the validated saffron extract called Affron, which is the only saffron extract on the market that has got peer-reviewed studies to demonstrate it helps with mood and sleep. It really is the only one to trust because it's been produced in such a way that it's got many actives that's required in order to do that of the plant. The Affron is brilliant because it's actually known in academic circles as a natural antidepressant. So it's been proven to work as well as fluoxetine and citalopram. However, there are no side effects. So obviously there's a raft of side effects that can come with pharmaceutical antidepressants. And you can take it whether you're on antidepressants or not. It will just give you a mood lift, and it's also got really strong sleep data specifically for the menopause as well. The other one I would say is the medical grade turmeric extract we use at Hydrokirk. And that is a really revolutionary ingredient because, I mean, the turmeric industry is worth, hundreds of billions of dollars, but it's a placebo. It's entirely not functional at all because your body can't absorb enough of the curcuminoids because it's only fat soluble, it's not water soluble. And yes, some companies put black pepper in, which increases the bioavailability, but still not enough. And then, you've got these whole raft of water soluble turmerics on the market. They're ineffective because what nobody tells you about those turmerics is that the majority of the ingredient is actually made up of the carrier system that makes it water soluble. So it leaves like negligible amounts of curcuminoids, which is the actual beneficial anti-inflammatory part of the ingredient. Lima's hydrocoque is different because 90% of that ingredient is the curcuminoids, and only 10% is accounted for the carrier system that makes it 100% water soluble. So it's got the highest load of curcuminoids on the market. So out of 600 milligrams of hydrocoque, you get 540 milligrams of curcuminoids. So it's hugely beneficial throughout the menopause because it's a massive anti-inflammatory. And then I'd say the other ingredient is the ashwagandha, so the KSM-66 ashwagandha. The majority actually of the ashwagandha market is actually quite toxic. Because even though they say they only use the roots, you still find once you test it that a lot of them have got the leaves in as well, which are toxic. So it's really, really important when you're taking an ashwagandha that you only use either KSM-66 ashwagandha, which is the one that's in Lima, or there's another one called Sensoril that's also guaranteed zero toxicity. But the ashwagandha is brilliant for reducing cortisol, which is another issue that happens during the menopause, and also helping to balance out the thyroid and hormonal issues that can happen. So I'd say if I was to pick out 3-star ingredients that are kind of really critical, I'd say those are the 3 that really stand out. There's the keratin for beauty as well, which obviously if you feel as though you look your best, then it's going to help with mood and things. But, from a purely critical perspective, I'd say those 3 ingredients are the real standout ones. It's helping to transform so many people's lives throughout this period.
Originally, Lima was set up to address wellness overall for men and women. You have a load of valuable information on your website for all sorts of reasons, but also specifically, I really enjoyed the Feel Good Menopause report, which is very comprehensive, and coping with the menopause. And I know you are a partner of Gen M, having spoken to Sam and Heather at Gen M. What makes you so supportive of menopausal women?
We didn't set out to be a menopausal supplement. As you say, it's not what we set out to do. It was really kind of quite organic. It was about a year into having the business that we realized that we had an overarching number of women that were contacting us, asking for help throughout this period. Trying Lima and then saying, oh my God, I can't believe I just feel myself again, and referring it to all their friends. So we had this tidal wave of menopausal women that were finding so much relief with Lima. So I think, yes, Lima has now got a name for itself as kind of the go-to menopausal supplement. But it was kind of only really after spending a lot of time with Dr. Paul Clayton, the guy that I originally met in Geneva, who's now our director of science. And he was explaining that the problem actually is, the root of the problem is that over 90% of the supplement market doesn't work. Now, normally, as you sail through your life in your 20s and your 30s, your body isn't placed, yes, you might experience turbulent times within those decades, but your body isn't naturally going to experience physical change like it would when you enter the menopause. So it's really kind of that's the first time in your life that you realize that the supplement market doesn't work, that the foods that you're eating are highly processed, that you're maybe leading a sedentary life and you're not exercising as much as you should do. And it's the time when kind of everything starts to fail you. The pharmaceutical world might have failed you because you might not even be able to take HRT if you've got the breast cancer gene. Or you might find that you're taking HRT and it just still doesn't address everything that you need it to. So it's kind of the first time in your life that you start to realize what's working and what's not. And I think that that's kind of the real trigger moment for people to actually take a look at what they're taking. And yeah, they might be taking, as you did, as thousands of other people did, they might be taking 35 tablets a day, but they're still not able to sleep and they're still feeling stressed and their hair's still thin So you kind of question these things. I just think the main issue is like it's lack of education, lack of consumer education. Like where do you start? I know all this information because I'm in the industry, and I've been privileged to be surrounded by all these incredible scientists who know a really great route to navigate through this period. If you're a general consumer, how do you know where to start? You ask Google, which is probably the worst person to ask. Up in the middle of the night saying, I can't sleep, what should I take? You see, you're bombarded with a load of magnesium supplements, and that's not going to help you sleep.
It's amazing, not only the lack of education for most of us, and I'm in the fitness industry, so have at least a basic knowledge of what supplements aim to do, but also the regulation that seems to be very thin on the ground.
There is no regulation outside of the dosage level. So you've got to state the dosage level on the label on the back. But outside of that, there isn't really anything. You can crush up any herb. It can pass straight through your body, not provide a health benefit at all, and just put it on the market. There's no quality regulation. There's no quality benchmark. I always say the sun cream industry, so brilliant. You've got the star rating on the back. You know how well, yes, there was a sun factor that you're buying, but you never knew before that star rating how well that particular brand protected you against the UVA rays. Simple star rating on the back, and you know exactly what you're buying into. But there's no consumer benchmark for supplements. It's actually really political because the supplement industry is controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical model is we will take away the symptoms once you present yourself with an illness. So that's very much about, half the foods that are sold should be illegal. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we feeding our families highly ultra processed foods that are actually packaged in a way that seems healthy? And we're feeding these to our children, and these actually are causing dysnutrition, and they're causing inflammation. And the supplement industry doesn't work either. So you're kind of left with this terrible commercial model for funneling everyone into a situation where they'll go visit their GP and they'll be prescribed with something that just takes away the symptom but doesn't actually stop the degeneration happening in the first place.
You've obviously had great feedback from menopausal women, just by surprise, but you have nonetheless. Are there any standout stories?
I think sleep is the main issue in the menopause, that I really feel the despair from the people that are contacting us. If you don't sleep, everything falls apart. Mm-hmm. And the reality is the doctor cannot prescribe you with sleeping tablets long term. They're not allowed to anymore. So where do you go if you can't sleep? HRT is not a sleep solution. So the biggest change that we can see where we've actually given people their lives back, is through transforming their sleep. Not to anything better than it was, but just getting it back to the stage that it was before they started. And actually, interestingly, the sleep market is, and even the supplement market is very heavily focused on sedation. And sedation is not the answer to sleep health. You can be relaxed and still be an insomniac. The way to achieve quality sleep is to reduce inflammation and lift serotonin in the brain. So when you transition through the natural sleep cycles that you go through in the night, I think there's about between 10 and 20 natural sleep cycles. When your sleep is very fragile, when you're going from one stage of sleep to the other, if your inflammation is low, then your body won't latch onto those sleep awakenings, and you'll just stay asleep. And I think we've had so many desperate women come to us. They just don't know how to survive. You can't survive. Sleep is a basic function. And once you get the sleep back, then everything else kind of falls into place. You've got a foundation to build yourself back up again. It's petrifying not to be able to sleep and having a family, and you've still got to get up for work. And how are you going to perform? How are you going to stay calm for your kids because you're so exhausted? How are you going to be a nice person? It all becomes impossible. To be able to make a difference to so many people, it's incredible.
What is your own perception of menopause in the outside world? You're obviously surrounded by scientists and doctors. It's more of a medical environment. But outside of that?
I think it's fear. If I was to put one word, I'd say it's fear, because there's a lack of education in the doctor's surgeries. There's a lack of education in general. There's a lack of drive with the government. Maybe I'm very unfair to say this, but if this was a condition that affected men, I think it would have been dealt with far better. That we'll just leave them to get on with it. How we can be in 2022 and women still suffer in the menopause is absolutely, it's crazy. We can send a man to outer space or a woman to outer space. Every single woman in this planet will go through the menopause. It's guaranteed. You cannot escape it. And yet to the masses, there isn't a solution that means you can just breeze through it. And yes, you might have some bad days. You might, everybody has bad days. But just to make sure that they're handled and that there is a solution, it makes me quite angry, actually, because as a supplement company who are only using medical grade ingredients, we're not even allowed to tell consumers what these ingredients can do. Legislation prevents us from saying the health benefits of the ingredients that have been published in peer-reviewed medical journals, and we're using them at the exact same dosage levels.
You're absolutely right about everybody has bad days. I think that's just part of life for everybody, male, female, however you identify. It's about the resilience and being able to get through those days. What is your own feeling around heading towards perimenopause?
Do you know what? I personally am not worried because I know that I have a solution to get me through. Mm-hmm. So I haven't had symptoms at the moment, but if I start to feel symptoms, then I know I've got a route through. And it's very simple. It's taking Lima, and there are some other really good ingredients out there you can add to the mix if you need to. Again, they're all patented, they're all medical grade. That's why we have a concierge. So people who've got personal medical situations, we can give them a tailored approach through this period. Some people are on medication, they can't take certain things. Other people have got specific other problems as well that need addressing. So that's why we've got a really good kind of multifaceted approach. So it doesn't have to be a problem.
Lucy, thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to add?
If people are struggling, don't ask Google. Send an email to the Lima Concierge, and we don't just recommend Lima at all. We've got over 30 scientists that are working with us, and we've got access to ingredients that other people don't have, that other brands don't have, that are not even available on the market yet. That can really, really help with longevity, living your best for as long as possible, helping to prevent things going wrong, which is what wellness is all about.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, no, thank you very much for having me. Real pleasure to meet you.
You can find Lucy and Lima at lima.life. And it really is worth checking out, not just for the supplement and the laser, but also for the information on the website. Follow us on the podcast apps and spread the word. The more stories we share, the more we normalise menopause and the stronger the support. Thank you for listening. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.